Welcome to the Polto Show. Before we start today's show, we got another special show today. As I always say, what does it take to get your attention? Well, tonight's show is a not only a special show, but it's to the hearts and souls of everybody out there. And let me tell you why. But before I tell you that, let me give you some breaking news. Last week, Josie Bratton, that was on the line, she's number one on the Polto Show. She's the number one on the Polto Show. So continue watching the Polto Show. So, and I can't wait to tell her this, or you tell her this, or whatever, but she's number one, the number one show on our list. We have many great shows coming up since we got the Skype from New York to California. And everybody will be, it's amazing, the guests on this show. So it's getting bigger and bigger thanks to you. Tonight's show is a little bit different, a lot different. And it's a little bit sad in one way and then happy in another way. The reason why I'm saying this is there's so many people on the list this holiday season, in your life, my life. But let's start with me. My mom, my dad, my best friend Dolores, my cousins, my co-partner Derek, and Vanessa Mitchell. I know she's watching out there in Georgia, her mother and father, and also her sister. And the list goes on and on. So every holiday, we have a tough time. We really do. We have a tough time. And at the times, we want to know where our loved ones are, and yet we want to absorb it. We can't, and we say we want to see them. We want to see them. 2 weeks ago, I went to a funeral, and it was one of my clients. And I was so saddened because I just talked to him 2 days before. And when I talked to him 2 days before, his mother called me and said, I have some breaking news for you. My son is dead. And I mean, I got the chills. And that morning, as you know, I'm a writer, you know, I'm an author, you know, I'm a songwriter, you know, I sing. But that morning, before I went to the funeral, I wrote a poem. And Valerie's going to explain all this today. And I'm so glad she's here today. But this is what I wrote before we bring her on. It was called A Letter to God in Heaven. You take away our loved ones and leave the criminals and rapists behind. What is the lesson here? For us to appreciate the real meaning of love as to the meaning of the word hurt. As we do not hurt for our possessions, as many will say, they're hurting because they lost their material things, their homes, their jobs. Some will even say when their loved ones die to move on. And then their loved ones will die in vain, as if they never existed on this earth. They give us a message to pray for them, which will never choose to accept their words even after death. If you fight for a cause, what makes this cause so important that you forget about your loved ones that needed that fight and love? Are these lessons that are important on this earth that will be remembered and will make us also remember us? The unconditional love will stay with us. And then when they say depart, if you hear noises in the night, your phone rings once, it's our loved ones saying, listen to me now. I'm still with you in spirit. If this is the reason for all of this, who God takes away and who he leaves behind, this lesson is for us. We ignore the signs. To all of our loved ones that passed away, I hear you loud and clear every day. If it's a rainbow, a butterfly, yellow rose, even a penny. I will keep your memory alive because when I'm dead and gone, I hope to be remembered not by what I do in life, but the unconditional love of being there and not ignoring the messages as they passed on the night. To all my loved ones that have passed away, my parents, Dolores, my cousin, Irv Homer, his wife, Valerie, friends, I have learned the lesson. I will keep your memory alive for all others to learn as well. I want to thank you. My guest today, she's world-renowned. There's many psychics out there. There's many mediums out there. But I've never seen anybody that I have met that actually has the gift of God. And that gift of God just goes on and on. So if I have a question or if I want to know who was where, and I haven't asked her these questions. And the reason why I haven't asked her these questions because it hurts. It's hurting you. And I know the people out there, you've contacted me, you emailed me. It hurts to even talk about them when the holidays comes up. First of all, I'd like to welcome Valerie Morrison to the Pearl Polto Show.
Thank you, Pearl.
Valerie, I mean, everybody knows you out there, but when did you know you had the gift?
Well, I was raised by my grandfather, and my grandfather had come from Hungary, and he had the gift, and he took the responsibility while my mother had to work a lot. My father was dead, and he raised me, and he did the mining as they do when they come here from another country. They have to do something, and he did mining. And along the way from Hungary to the United States, he had 13 children. He lost three of them. And he would still do sessions on every night when he would come home from the mine. I would sit by his side playing jacks and listening to him thinking, I don't know why he told that woman whose husband is seeing another woman to go home and stir the soup and shut up. I mean, and everything will be all right. I said I wouldn't tell her to shut up. I would throw the soup at him or something. And then as I grew, I realized what he was saying is that when a man has had an affair, if it's not an affair after an affair after affair after affair, because all of you out there that know me know I don't condone affairs. I learned that by forgiving your husband of one and that doesn't mean you men out there go out and commit one, that if you can forgive your husband and stay with your wife and child, and she doesn't bring up the woman all the time, and you keep quiet about it, then it ends. It goes away, and your love comes back the way that it should. So I learned a lot from my grandfather. So I guess to answer your question, when I was about 5 years old in a crib, a made crib from my grandfather, I was sleeping. I opened my eyes and I saw the most beautiful, beautiful angel above my bed. And I remember being very frightened. So I went and I covered my face. And when I uncovered my face, she was gone. Now, angels have no sex. They're neither male nor female. And we always presume they're women, but they're neither male nor female. It's sort of like St. Michael, St. Gabriel,
You
St.
actually
Uriel.
seen it?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And it was from that moment on that I could see the dead walking. And I could speak to them. My grandfather had a very close friend who was killed in the mine in a mining accident. He used to come over to the house a lot. And so after he went away, when he passed over, I said to my grandfather, Paul has something that he wants to say to you. And he said, honey, Paul is gone. And I don't want you getting involved with the work I do because it will take your complete life away from you. You won't have time for anything else. I said, no, you have to listen. You have to listen. He said, you have to tell his wife that the green ring that he gave her is in the bottom drawer where he used to throw his old shoes. And my grandfather said, okay, honey, pacify me. I'll tell him that. And the man found the ring, and I know it was him. I mean, the woman found the ring. The man that came told me that. And it was after that that I started seeing a lot of spirits and speaking to them. And now in my office, this has been, as you said, this is a holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very difficult time. People are calling. I just had a call that they're waiting until January to come because I will be out of town, probably filming Paranormal 2 again in Canada for 2 weeks. And they said, I have to see you, Valerie. And I said, gee, honey, I don't think I have anything. And she said, well, I'm living in another state. I need it by phone. I said, you lost someone, didn't you? She said, I lost my husband and my mother all this year. And I said, let me see what I can do. Now, I don't work on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm very busy doing other chores that I have to do. And so two of them called that night that they had lost someone they loved. one on a motorcycle accident was a brother. And I could see the sliding. I told her how it happened, and she has a. They're both. I'm going to get them both in on. I believe Dawn is Sunday night or Monday night. I think Monday night, isn't it? Monday night.
Do you get overwhelmed?
Do I get overwhelmed? No,
Exhausted?
no, 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 no. This has been a very, very heavy time for me. Uh, I can tell you that I'm working. You know how I work. You know
Mm-hmm.
my hours. I start at 12 o'clock. I like to get in the office to start. And I usually have a break after the 3 o'clock appointment.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then I start up again at 6:45.
Mm-hmm.
And my last appointment is at 9 and sometimes 9:30 if it's an emergency. Well, I have been getting up much earlier and I have been starting work at 10:30 and I have been working straight through until I get to bed about 2 in the morning now. So I can't. The thing is, it's very difficult for me to say no to someone, and especially the last few people that I saw, Pearl, were children. One was 4 years old, and I'm sure that the mother is watching this show. And one was a little girl who lost her a year and a half year old baby. One was to a rare form of cancer that they're born with. And the other was just a sickness that it's got worse, a hole in the heart they were born with that wasn't fixed. And I have the refrigerator of the one on my I put it on my refrigerator, and because I saw everything about her, and this is why I think it's so important that you're doing this story now because I've died 3 times. I've seen heaven 3 times. Have I seen it in my sleep at night? Yes, I have. Am I afraid of
We're gonna
going
talk
now?
about that. Where's heaven? Valerie was around when my best friend was alive, and we went on a ship one time, and all of us. And one time, her friend Don and I and Valerie were at this ship, and then my friend passed away. And at that time, her friend took a picture of me and Valerie under the moon on this, and he seen something in the picture. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And yes,
It was certainly, we know who it was.
yeah,
And it was your friend.
yeah,
And she seemed to be very glad that you got out because you
I know,
rarely do,
I know.
and you're always working also. And the idea of the light was, you could say, okay, that's the moon, that's a star, that's a this. If I recall, that was a little bit of a dreary type of a
Yeah.
night.
Hmm.
The moon was brighter than it ever was. I would call it the white light, similar to the light of an angel or an angelic being coming forward to say, I'm glad you're there. I'm happy for you.
When we come back, we're going to take a little commercial right now. When we come back, we're going to find out where actually, when your loved ones die, where does Valerie say they're going? Here, they stay here. They're going to the other side. Where were they going? We'll be right back.
There's nothing more disruptive and annoying than getting an automated call to your cell phone. There are laws against companies using computers or recorded messages to call you on your cell phone without your permission. This is consumer protection attorney Carrie Flitter. You've heard me as a guest on the Pearl Polto Show. There are consumer laws in place that prohibit many of the unwanted calls to your cell phone. If you're receiving unwanted or unauthorized calls, whether collection, selling products or services, or otherwise, you may be entitled to have these calls stopped and to collect money damages that the law provides. If you're getting unwanted or pre-recorded calls to your cell phone, contact us, the Consumer Protection Lawyers at Flitter Lorenz, at 888-668-1225. That's 888-668-1225, or online at consumerslaw.com. That's consumers with an S, consumerslaw.com. If we accept your case, the bad guys pay our bill.
You're listening to a very special holiday, actually, edition of the Pearl Polto Show. When it comes, where is heaven? Our loved ones die, and we sit back, we play the part, we celebrate holidays with our friends and family. But as we're sitting there, inside we're crying and we're saying, why aren't they there with us? Why did God take them? And we want to believe they're right beside us, and we want to believe they're in heaven with God, and we want to believe everything, but we really don't know. So we go to mediums, we go to psychics, but we have to find the real ones. So that's my next question to Valerie. When somebody passes away that quick, if somebody passes away, do they move on to another side? Do they stay here? What do they do?
Well, they move on to another side, and it's a rapid sort of thing. I've been there, and I've seen people there that have long passed. You know them by I would say their heart, their light. I don't know when you see them. Let's say that someone passed away as my grandmother, and I never knew her. I still know her. I know her when I get there. When we leave here, and whether it's a child, and believe me, I've been listening. I've lost my own daughter. I've, lost my husband recently, my mother recently, and even animals go to heaven. I saw my dog last night, by the way, for the first time since Charles went away. But it's amazing how the animals are in heaven, and where we go is, let's do it this way. When I had my aneurysm, which was in 1981, shortly after my father's death, we'll go there. I've died before. I've drowned, and the drowning was an easy death for me. And I try to tell people that come to me when they say, my son drowned, my daughter drowned, I said, I've been there 2 times. I want you to know it wasn't what you thought. Yes, do you struggle at first? It's an automatic thing to get there, to get up above. But once you go like that, you pass out and go right to that light that comes right in the water, no matter how dirty it is.
Does the person get scared
No.
when they die? Do they know they died?
Oh, yes. Oh, they're taken before they die.
Mm-hmm.
And in other words, let's take example.
Like if I died, and where do I go? That quick, I would say I'm dead, or I would be realistically to say I'm dead, and I'm looking at you though on Earth, and I'm saying, oh my God, I miss her. Does that happen?
It's a little bit different than that, Pearl. What happens is you're lying in bed, and let's say you're at the hospital. Mm-hmm. Let's use that as an example. You're in the hospital, you're lying in bed, and suddenly you feel as though someone's lifting you very lightly, very gently. And you look, and your mother and father, husband, brother, sister, child, whatever, you're looking and saying, wait, that's Mary. She passed away 3 years ago. And that's my daughter, and you're being raised, and you're already passed over. The thing of it is, you don't have any pain in the end. You know how someone says, my son was killed, Valerie, and I say, I feel this. I feel a sliding and a crash, a crushing noise. And they say he was on a motorcycle on I-95. And I say he didn't feel a thing because his grandfather, with the initial L, which happened to be Lewis, picked him up before he hit. Because you see, those in heaven know. And you ask a very good question. You said, why is God taking all the good and not the bad? Number one, we're all born with a mark on us. It's just like we have our name. We are born with a mark that we can't see. The way someone would have a tattoo, it's visible to God when he is taking you. So that time when how many times do you hear people say, I'll never make it to 40? Mm-hmm. And they don't.
I said that.
Well,
no, but
you're still here.
Yeah.
But they
better be.
But they do. They do. They do. They don't make it to 40. Mm-hmm. And mothers will say to me, my son said, Mom, I'm not going to be here to graduate college. And then there's an accident. And they're not there. And they can't understand till I explain the whole thing to them.
Does God have a number for us, for each one of us?
Oh, yes. Yes, we do have a number, which is an age number of when you will go. Now, I felt that when I had the cerebral hemorrhage, since it was so bad and I was in a coma for 4 months, on 4 weeks, I'm sorry, on life support, that would have been my time.
Mm.
But when I was in heaven, when I was lifted uh, up and I was dying, I I don't remember anything except the glory of God. I mean, I remember roses that were this big. I
Why did you want to come back, or why did you come
I
back?
didn't want to come back. That was the whole thing because as I kept racing through, I saw, ladies and gentlemen, this is so wonderful. I saw clear water. It was a pond to me. Children were playing in it. Little children were playing and they were swimming on sharks and swimming on dolphins. And then the waterfall was coming down. And the only way to explain it, I could never figure out the kind of flower that kept coming down. It looked like a lotus flower down the falls, and everyone was giggling. And what happened when I came back just a little bit was that I wanted to go in with the children. So I went to put my foot into the water, and I heard this booming voice say, Valerie, don't put your foot in the water. And I was, why? And then I heard, don't put your foot in the water. And I pulled back for just a second, curious, and I opened my eyes and I saw my son who was in ICU. Well, that was 1981,
Mm.
that death, and had a few since then. But he was young, and he said, "Mommy, you're going to be all right." And I felt this. It was nothing painful, nothing like that, ladies and gentlemen. I was back on the other side.
Did you see God?
I did. I did. I saw first when I got there, you remember you go through a veil, you go through that veil, and then you see what they don't call them angels in heaven. They call them messengers. And two messengers came by my side and they took him to I am. He is I am, which is whatever religious belief you have, whatever language you speak, you understand it all when you get there. You understand if your neighbors spoke Italian or they spoke Chinese or whatever it is, and you love them as a friend, you will understand every word they're saying. There's communication there. And you go to the foot of Christ or whatever God you believe in and you kneel. And then the thing that's exciting and yet maybe a little detrimental for any of you that would think of taking your own life. At this particular point, I know a lot of you are in grief. You kneel, and it's as though a video is put in. I can't explain that, but it's as though there's a video and it's your life. And you see someone you may have said, I hope they break their leg because you're upset with them, or I hope they fall down the steps or something like that. You see that, and you have to look at I didn't get to see the face of God. I got to saw the golden light around him because I wasn't going to go. So when I saw that, and I had said those things, and I heard, "Are you sorry that you said those things about that person?" And I said, "I am heartily sorry for my sins. Forgive me for my sins." And at that point, things got brighter. And then I got to see beautiful things, friends who had babies, me giving birth to children. My father, who I really wanted to see, had passed away May 1st of 81. And of course, my coma came in November of 81. November is the month that I always look for. So anyway, I turned and I said, Daddy, this is after I saw all these animals coming through. And they weren't animals I had lost. They were just animals, and I loved them. They were birds. And so every time you have an animal and it passes away, it doesn't go in pain. You may hear it crying in pain, and you may feel it's crying. You know what it's crying for? To get to the other side, to have fun, to be able to fly wherever they wanted to go, to be able to bark and be with other animals that love them, cats and dogs that get along.
People that lost loved ones, you, me, when they pass away, we know and we believe, we want to believe they're with God on the other side. And then when holidays come, or it doesn't even have to be holidays, do they hurt on the other side as we're hurting on this side? Do they see that we're hurting?
Yes, they know that we're hurting and they try to give us a sign. It could be a knock on the door. I've been getting that a lot lately. A knock on my bedroom door, a knock on a door where I have said to my clients, "Did you hear that?" And they said, "Yeah, somebody just tapped." We do have a ghost dog in here, and so yes, we they give us signs, or it may be that you might have a favorite song for them, and it comes on
Comes on automatically.
suddenly, and you're thinking about them, and you are thinking about them. It's not the case where you're not thinking about them. You're thinking about them, and they're showing you something. Like City of Angels is one of my favorite. Peter Gabriel singing "I Grieve" makes me think of Helen, and and it comes on, and or the Titanic, and when it's Charles, something comes on that will say that I know he always called me his lady or lady in red, and that song will come on, and I know that he's there for me.
Do they eat? Do they drink? Do
Yeah,
they live in a house?
yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
we got the whole world.
that is great. That is so
I
great.
mean,
Because, in the Bible, it says, in my father's house, you will have a mansion. Now, that doesn't mean a really big house the way you see mine when you come to see me. Because when I saw Helen, she said, "Come on, mommy. Come on, mommy," like that. Because we always say, "Come on," like that. Come and see my house. And I went running with her, and she said, "Look," and it was a bungalow. Well, Helen could never grow roses because where she did live with her husband, the soil just wouldn't collect them. So I grew them for her. Well, here is this cottage. And I had never heard of Kincaid. Never in my life. And I saw all these flowers growing all around her. And then she said to me, Pearl, she never had children. She said, "Wait, Mommy, I have to show you your grandchildren." And she brought out a boy and a girl around 2 and 3. And I never got to see the man that was her husband. She said, "I'm very happy here with my husband." And she said, "You don't have to worry about me, Mommy. See, I have everything and I don't have to water them either." And I said, "Well, what about my friends? What about people I've loved, you've loved? What about people that we've all loved, our producer, Don, anyone?" And you say to yourself, "Well, what about my friends? I want to see Betty, my best friend that passed away, other than you." And that was recent. Well, at that point, of course, she hadn't passed away. But I said, "What if I want to see so-and-so? Or what if I want to see so-and-so? How do I do?" Oh, she said, "Mommy, you each live in a community. Now you live in Roxborough, and you have all your friends around there. Someone else lives in Mississippi in a certain place, and they have all their friends around them. Well, these are not Mississippi and Roxborough. They have their own families that passed away with them. They all live in a house close by. But they can come to you, Mommy," she said, "and have tea. And you can talk about what's going on in their life and what they're seeing about their children here."
They know?
Yeah.
When you talk about them, they say when you talk about your loved ones, they're there if you need them. And then they say, now I was told that if a loved one passed away, they'll help you more so on the other side than they can when they were sick here.
That's because they have the permission on the other side of God or one of the so-called angels, messengers, to allow a message to get to you. It can be in writing, it can be a song, it can be something. But if you're crying over them, they're able to actually touch you like this. And I've said to people, "Do you feel a chill going down your arm?" And they say, "Yes." And I say, "He's here," or "She's here."
I have a chick. When you went to the funeral of my mother, I have a chick that I gave to my mother. And when she died, I took it back and I have it on my night table. And every time I want to talk to her, I'll say, "Mom, are you there?" Chirp, chirp. And just, I think I'm going crazy, but I do believe
No,
it.
it is her. There was a story once, and I don't remember the movie, but it was someone that, because Charles would know, but it's something about every time a bell rings, an angel gets its
Oh
wings.
boy.
Does that mean something to you?
Yes,
Oh,
it
it must,
does.
the way you look.
Well, I'm the reason why I said every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings. And that could be on the other side. It could be here. Well, Valerie, you are psychic.
Well, I've so many people right now calling
You
me.
got your wings.
Oh my
You
gosh.
got your wings.
They are so beautiful.
When a bell
Did you
rings,
see
she
that?
got her wings.
An angel gets the wings.
Wait a minute. Let me put your other wing on. You deserve this for a long time.
Oh my goodness. Do I have it on?
Wait a minute. Let me put your hand through. Now you got your wings. You got your wings.
You gotta take a picture of that.
Yeah, when this thing is over, you have pictures of it.
Oh, I love it. I love
So when you
this.
said, when we talk, Valerie is so psychic and so into it, and it wears off because
Yes, it does.
it really does, because she could say something and I'm thinking it. But when she just said that, I said that 3 times this week. When the angels sprinkle something over, you get your wings, and for you to say that tonight, and she's wearing angel wings earrings as well.
Oh, you gave
I
these
know.
to me.
I already
Okay.
know.
And I put them on today, and I don't wear them in the office because I don't want them to be pulled by a child or something. People bring their
That's
children.
why I said to my Ron when you came in, I said, look what she's wearing from here up. She's wearing her angel earrings, and look at this. Now you got your wings. Now she's got her wings. A lot of people, we want to believe the holidays are coming up, and everybody is so sad. We like to think of things. We like to celebrate. We can't, and yet the other side, they're celebrating in heaven. And yet,
Oh, so much more than we are.
why don't we want to go there? Why doesn't half the people commit suicide to go there with them?
Because in the case of suicide, you don't go to the black area where people are so worried about. You do go into the gray area. A gray area is not seeing the face of God, not even kneeling with him, but having someone other than a messenger angel come to you and show you a video. You see the video of your funeral. You see the video of how many people you've hurt, what you've done to your parents, what you've done to your sisters and brothers, what you've done to your best friends by doing what you did, by taking too many drugs or by shooting yourself or whatever the case may be. And then you have to stay in that area until your heart is truly resolved with as many tears that you can fall, but saying, how could I have done that to them? Now I can't go back. And you can't. And you can't. And so you stay in a gray area for a long time. It's not as though the demons are there and so on. The demons come for people like Dahmer and people like that. They are in an everlasting fire.
Is there a heaven and hell?
There is a heaven, a hell, and a middle place, okay? We call it purgatory. Someone who committed suicide would be in purgatory. They would not see the face of God until they would beg to see the face of God and for what they did to their parents. And eventually, the parent will be able to speak to them through me, and I have crossed them over. I have been able to cross them over by listening to the pain and what they did and why they did it. Some suicides just can't handle life anymore.
Do you believe the way our world's going, our country's going, that the destruction, everything, that God is angry? Can God actually be so angry where all these hurricanes and tornadoes and earthquakes are happening around the country? He's saying, I'm the one that's in control, not
Yes.
anybody else?
Yes, I do believe that God is very angry with what's going on with this earth. I just happened to look at Friday's paper, and where a woman just tapped a man in a wheelchair. Just tapped him in a wheelchair with her car, got out to help him. He shot her and killed her. He had a gun. Now, this is insane, ladies and gentlemen, that we're living in this society that we are so afraid to walk down the street. Our postmen, they're being laid off. We're lucky if we get our mail at 5. What's happening to the world is God is very angry at the fact that people are starving on the streets, that they're stealing, that they're killing, and that people are chopping up their own children.
Yeah.
I mean, do you know that in the Bible it says, "Suffer the child to come unto me, but beware the person that does it. Beware the person who does it."
No,
And go
I
ahead.
I always believe, and I could be wrong, and I probably am wrong, but I always believe that God takes the innocent and God takes, as you see when this, but he keeps, like when you said a person sins or kills or whatever, we're here on this earth longer. Is that person on this earth longer, 102, 103, to learn the lesson before
Yes.
he takes them over to the other
Yes,
side?
it's called an accounting. It's as though you do accounting, you work with money. It's an accounting. Let's say that over here on the good side, you have 80% of the good you've done by the time you're a certain age,
Mm-hmm.
or even by the time a 12-year-old would pass.
Mm-hmm.
He's already touched the hearts of half the neighborhood by shoveling their snow or
Mm-hmm.
doing things like that. And that's why I get hard on the parents and say, don't let your child sit in a room with a cell phone and a computer on a stormy day. Make him go out and help a neighbor.
Yeah.
These are all things that count. But over here, where he's been the bully at school
Mm-hmm.
and he's done the wrong things and he slaps his mother and he yells at his father, then he has to go through life in a way until he accounts for those things before he's taken. And when he's taken, women, men, protect your child. Because if you want your child to be at peace, make him be at peace on this earth.
It was when I was on Channel 9 years ago. I spoke with this woman for 3 years on the phone, never met her. And after the third year, she died. She passed away. And we were always just had a phone communication.
Mm-hmm.
And when she died, when I found out she died, I never got a chance to go to the hospital in New York to see her. But I had a dream the next night. And in that dream, this woman was on the phone again, calling me. And the message she gave me, I woke up and I had the chills. The message she gave me is, Pearl, I said, where are you? What is it like over there? And she said, I have a message. Do good on this earth and you will get good over here.
That's true.
And whatever you do on this earth, this is what's going to happen over here. And then she hung up. And I woke up and I'm saying, do good on this earth and
That's
you're going
true.
to get the same thing over on the
That's
other side.
true.
And that was her message.
That was her message. The message is that we have to do good here. We forget the 10 Commandments. Honor thy neighbor. Honor thy mother and father, that your days will be long. You don't murder your mother and father. If you don't like your mother and father, I tell children, you know what? You haven't talked to your dad in 10 years because of what your mother has said? Well, I suggest you send him a Father's Day card, a Christmas card, just putting love so-and-so. No one knows what goes on behind bedroom doors.
Yeah.
No one knows what went on there that caused that breakup. And then you get either a father or a mother splitting a child in two. And what do you think that child's going to grow up like? Come on.
It's so sad. This world today is going crazy. The world today is,
Well, God will destroy it more this year, you will see, because he is furious. And the one thing is, he lifts those children up. Those innocent people are lifted by millions of angels. If you can even remember a city of angels, you know how many there are. Yeah. He lifted up. They're lifted up before the stone comes down and crushes them. They're lifted and they don't want to come back. That's the glory of God.
You're a servant to the people here, and I see it, and I've always seen it. And I've used to be, I can't say used now. Now I am. I'm a servant, and I've seen myself changing, like wanting to help the world. And I did tell you, and I think I told them, but I never told them what it was, the invention that I have. I said everybody to pray for it. Well, yesterday, and you're on here today, but yesterday I'm going through my closet again, and I'm having this, and it said, my invention, and it said, from Pearl and Dolores looking it over. And I'm saying, oh my God, this was stuck up in the closet. So both of us really put this together. So I do believe they can work on the other side to make things happen.
Yes, they can.
For us.
Yes, they can. I pray every night, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm such a prayer, and I'm a sinner too. I mean, I'll yell at my neighbor, is that your car parked in my parking thing? Get it out before the police are called and you get a ticket. I mean, yeah, the West Virginia girl in me, I always say, comes out once in a while. But I really feel that I am very, very good to the people that are my neighbors, and I try to be good, and some you like better than others.
Yeah.
That's only a normal thing to
Yeah.
do. And I just feel as though what is happening right now is the fact that, do as Pearl just said, do better here on your earth, on this earth that you can. And I have a saying, and I have to tell you this. I pray in the morning. I wake up and I immediately start saying a prayer for all the people that will be there to see me that day, that they will, their hopes and dreams will come true as long as they're not out of the ordinary. Don't ask me if they're going to win the lottery, because I'd keep the ticket and not give it to you. And
People ask that.
I know they do. They do.
Isn't that something?
Yes, yes. And I say, look, do you think I would honestly, if I knew it, I wouldn't play it?
Yeah.
And the other thing is that in doing that and coming to see me, I'll guide you into the right light. And if your husband or wife is having an affair, girlfriend, boyfriend, I'm going to tell you. The reason I'm going to tell you is because, sex is not love. And you can fall in love, a woman especially, with someone that she's having an intimate relationship with, and then you're young and you get hurt. That's not your fault. That doesn't put you in a bad position. But pray about it. Pray about it and ask God to give you an answer, and you will get it. And Don and Frank, my manager, are the first to tell you that when I say, Frank has been sick for 3 days now with some kind of a flu, but when I say, this is going to happen today, and that's not just psychic now, that's my prayer, because I prayed for it, and it happens, the exact thing, and I turn and look at both of them and say, God loves me, because
Look what you did with the storm. Look what you did with the storm.
Yes.
Look, when we had the hurricane in the Philadelphia and the Jersey area, she called me up. It was 3 a.m, and she called me up and she said, "Your lights are on, aren't they?" And you prayed for it, and it was.
And not one person in my whole block area in Roxborough, ladies and gentlemen, lost electricity. They had heat. They had everything.
It's amazing. People, it's amazing.
I just knew it. I just said, God.
Valerie doesn't charge a fortune, but I have to ask you, does God put people in our lives?
Yes. And he puts them in for a reason, good or bad. Yes. He puts them in for a reason. If they're not nice people to you, then it's because they have to teach you to be a better person, which I've learned lately, is not to maybe fight back or not to allow them to express themselves without my big interruptions that I always do. And if someone else is put into my life that's really a good person, then they get good back for each of us. It's being kind to each other, opening a door for someone in a wheelchair and holding it, or someone who's limping. Do something good every day that you feel good about. If a man is trying to pump gas and he can't get the lid off, or whatever you call that thing, and you go over and say, let me help you with that. I mean, one good deed, not because you're trying to please God with that, because you're not going to con God. You're not going to be able to say, see, I did that today. You forget you did it. And when you go to bed at night, you say, I bless every single person that I have met today, my enemies and my friends, and those I met casually. Because each one of you people are in my prayers every night and the night before I even meet you.
So people are put in our lives because God is putting them in our lives
to teach us something.
That's
right.
And they may come, they may go, or they may stay with us forever.
And it may be sad that they may go either to heaven or either they move away and you lose track and you think about them. And when you're thinking about someone that, say, moved to South Carolina, North Carolina, and you're living here and you've been with them a long time as a friend, they're thinking of you too. So just take a second to make a phone call and say, you know what? You're on my mind. Did you just pull my wing?
No.
Someone just pulled my wing. All right, that's a message. Somebody out there is thinking of someone right now when I said
my
that.
hands are here.
And you should pick up the phone and call that person just to say, I've been thinking about you. They may need you. I felt my wing being pulled. I thought, why'd you pull my wing? All right, Dolores, leave my wing alone.
Dolores is saying we're here. Well, she was in here when both of us were here.
She would love this on
me.
she
would love it. She's probably laughing right now at both of us, and she's saying, "I knew it, you guys." You know, that's just what
she had to interrupt. Come on.
She interrupted. She did that on the radio show too. When we had our show on the radio, we had a show on the radio, WWDB, Your Credit, Your Future, and we used to freak out the producer because every time we would do an anniversary of somebody that died, the computers would go berserk. Yes, I would play her favorite song and wouldn't play. So the producer would be freaked out, but I knew it. Valerie knew it. But a lot of people, I know you're feeling good right now because you're saying, your loved ones died. You know they're right there. You know they're by your side. But what proof? What proof can we? I mean, do we need real proof? Like St. Thomas, Doubting Thomas, do we need to say, well, give me that rose, give me that penny, give me that whatever?
You don't need any kind of proof. You just have to ask for it. You say, Helen, give me a sign today that you're with me. Dolores, give me a sign.
She did.
That you're with us. She did.
Or your daughter, one or the other.
One of them pulling my wings. And I could just see my daughter saying, I want those wings,
Yeah, you are. How did you? I can see your daughter now.
It's Rayanne probably out there saying, Mom, just because I bought you those angel pants from Victoria's Secret, you're wearing wings now, I mean, so there's everyone that we... All I can say to all of you, the best gift you can give to God is yourself. Do something very small for someone every day. It could be a family member. It could be a stranger. It could be a neighbor. And, I have a neighbor I'm not that fond of, but I try to keep away rather than do something that would hurt someone. And a lot of times in our life, we do that. And when you see them, just kind of say hi. And if they don't say hi back, that's their problem, not yours. But the main thing is accusations, too. A lot of people call me and say, I know my sister stole my mother's ring that I had. I say, I don't do that. I'm not going to an accusation unless I'm working with the police. Mm-hmm. And I certainly am not going to the fact I'm going to accuse someone who's innocent. Oh, they're innocent? Well, I have to come to see you, then you'll tell me who. I said, no, I won't. I will not do that.
Valerie was on Court TV, and it's on her website, the video of the Court TV, where she had to solve a crime for the police. And I watched it, and then I heard it and all, and it was very spooky because it was the mother. Do you remember that? It was the mother. And that detective, when I never forgot it, when Valerie walked upstairs, and she's on the bed of her daughter. She wanted to be on the bed of the person that was missing. And she looked at the mother and said, why did you put me here? The way what you said
was, tell them where I am, Mom.
Tell them where you buried me or whatever. And the mother started screaming and ran downstairs to that detective. This is a true story, people. The mother ran downstairs and threw them all out. And that's when she told the detective, and that's when they found, it was a Fairmount Park?
Yes,
they found it with it.
Yes.
So you have that gift as well, finding.
Yes, I do. To find bodies, yes. And to even find those that have passed away centuries ago, a long time ago.
Yes, you did that as well.
I did that as well.
Special
I really feel that God has gifted me with that. But when you write me a very long letter from another place, I can't help you unless I tell you. I write back, get the police to call me. I cannot work on a one-to-one.
Do you have a lot of people? Do you have a lot of people doing that?
I have a lot of people that do that, and I try to explain to them that I'm not going to accuse someone that may be the wrong killer.
Of course.
And then you go kill that person. Mm-hmm. And you have the police call me, and I will tell them. I'm working right now with the FBI with two young girls, a cousin and a sister, who are missing. I believe it's Idaho, Iowa. and wherever it is, the FBI here are working with me. And I said, look, the bicycle's found right on the trail. Wake up. You know, the father has, and this is another state, I've never been there. The father has a history of drug abuse. He's been in and out of prison. The mother used to sell drugs. She's been in and out of prison. And suddenly their own child and a cousin, 11 and 12, are missing. And their bike is on this towpath. I said, you know, doesn't it tell you got to break the mother down, like when I worked on the Susan Smith trial? Mm-hmm. I had to work with the FBI saying, go back in the lake. And they said, Valerie, we've been there. It's too dirty. There's nothing in there. I said, I'm telling you, Susan Smith. Mm-hmm, Susan I said, Smith. Go back in the lake. They went back in and found the car with her boys in it.
And a lot of police didn't believe in all this.
Yeah, they're starting to. They're doing it this way. The FBI said, I said, what about the lake in front of the towpath? And he said, Valerie, that's already been drained. And I said, I don't care if it's been drained or not. It's all mud. Mm-hmm. What if they're under the mud? And he said, Valerie, they'd be decomposed by now. Wait a minute. This is somebody, somebody who was a child. And a child is very important to God. These two children. I feel what happened was the mother or father heard, and you'll probably hear this as it comes out, the mother or father heard them telling the cousin about the past of the father and the molestation of the father. Mm-hmm. And he went and killed them both. And so I really believe they're under that mud. And I know that I'm usually right when I feel that. And so my friend from the FBI here, and I won't say his name because they're protected, just like the CSI is. You are working CSI, everything's protected for FBI. And he said, I will call them again and tell them anonymously, this is my tip.
What is the difference between a psychic and a medium?
There is
and can one be one and the other?
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, I do believe that, but I believe that it's a gift to have both. Mm-hmm. I think it's a double gift to have both. I just happen to have both.
Why does God pick one person? Why does God pick you and not me to be a medium, or what is in that one person?
Because I believe that God knows that I wouldn't lie.
Well, I wouldn't lie either.
But you don't know that. You don't know what some psychics do that are out there that say they're mediums.
Okay.
I mean, what they'll do is they'll say, as one was on a television show, I'm not going to go into that, but she said, you have television has a very big range of people. Yeah. I feel an initial J or B over here. Mm. Well, anyone could say that.
J or B, yeah.
I would rather come out with, I feel the name Jerome, which is unusual. Mm-hmm. I would rather come out with John, but I might say, was there 3 Johns? Mm-hmm. And it may say, yes, my grandfather, my father, and myself. And a cute little way to tell you how that works is I had a young man that came to me the other day, and I said, I can't get you in today. I really can't. I am overwhelmed, overjammed. I want to do the best I can. Can you come back tomorrow? He said, sure, I can. So the next day, and I usually wear a police badge around my neck, and he came back the next day, and he wanted to talk to someone who had passed over, and I'm sure he's watching us today. And I sat with him a little while and said, why are there so many police officers around you when they're dealing in drugs? Have you been to prison? And he said, I'm a police officer with drug enforcement. Oh, I said, why didn't you tell me that yesterday? Wow. I said, didn't you see my badge? He said, I saw it yesterday. So he wasn't going to tell me, see? So it's good for me to be able to be honest enough with you to say, as I just did, when your child was so big, she was wearing those beautiful pink little ballerina dress before she passed away, and you had something around her head, but it wasn't flowers or anything like that. It looked like feathers. And she had a big butterfly climbing all around her. It looked like a monarch, and lots of little white ones. And the mother looked at me and said, the father was with her. This is a picture. and she showed me the picture of the little girl in the pink with the white feathers around her
Mm-hmm.
head and a big monarch butterfly thing on like this angel wing. And they told me that they let loose. They bought butterflies. I didn't know you could buy those, ladies and
Mm-hmm.
gentlemen. And you let them loose at the gravesite.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Freedom.
that's so beautiful. So they explained that to me. So that's how I get my information. Did I get it from a child that young? Yes, I did. And will she grow in heaven? Yes, she will. When the mother and father see her, they will know her by her heart. They will know her by her heart. And her mother actually gave Pearl and I the name for the show because she looked at me and she wasn't crying anymore. And she said, "You've helped me more than anyone else could ever help me. But where is heaven?"
Yeah.
And I said, "All around you. Everywhere you touch and look, she touches you back. She's there in your bad times when you're crying. She wipes your diamond tears. She's there. Everyone you've ever loved is there. Heaven is everywhere we are, good and bad. Why is it someone can walk into a store of any type, I can't name the stores, but say they're safe and there's a robbery and someone else is killed, except the person they pointed the gun at, because it wasn't that time.
You know, as you know, there was a car that drove off into my drive port.
Right, I do.
And every day I sat in front of that drive port doing my
I
work.
know.
Doing my work. And out of the clear blue sky, for some reason, I don't know why, I moved the chair. I moved the chair to this top of my steps. And if I was sitting there, I would have been killed instantly, and the whole block would have blown up. And everybody said to me, somebody was with you. To move that chair, it's like somebody was protecting me. So my question to you is, your husband, your daughter,
Yes.
my best friend, my mother, my father, why are we still around?
Because suffering is the most beautiful way to get to heaven. Charles used to always say, and God bless him, I know he's with us, he said, suffering is redemptive to God, meaning that when you suffer by the loss of someone,
Mm-hmm.
and certainly he did with his daughter, or you suffer from an illness
Mm-hmm.
and you're debilitated from it in wheelchairs and things like that, you do not have to pass go on Monopoly. You go right to heaven. Directly, you are not accountable for sins that you committed, even when you got cranky because you were starting to get dementia or Alzheimer's or something. That you, when you were suffering, you were forgiven that minute, that very second.
But didn't you sit back ever to say,
So
why
when
did
you
God
were
take
no,
you?
when you were told to move that chair,
Mhm.
I feel it was your mother in a blue dress.
Mhm.
I believe it was that dress, almost this color that I keep seeing Dolores wearing, and I
Yeah,
don't know
you
what it
keep on
means.
saying that, yeah.
I feel it was her, and I feel they made that. They would have made the chair move. They would have, because people who have passed over,
Well,
oft times you'll see something happen where something moves out of your way.
Let me tell you, see, you are, she is psychic lady, but there, I put a bird bath in my yard. And when my best friend was alive, she took care. There was a little small squirrel. And that little small squirrel, she was feeding and she brought it back to health. And it got to the point where she brought it back to health. And I was angry at all the squirrels out there. I was angry at all the squirrels because I wanted to feed the birds. So I was so angry with these squirrels. And then all this happened. And I moved that chair. And that one, it was really weird. It was like that one squirrel saying, I just saved your life.
You see,
And that was the same squirrel, I believe, that Dolores.
But I think you have to say to yourself, can those that crossed over take a form of another creature for a second to help save you? There have been many stories, and we should speak about that sometimes, about that I have heard that have saved the live dead animals that have appeared and saved the lives of many people. And you have to know that the animal has the spirit. But I believe that squirrel
Can you
would have been
predict your
there.
own death?
Helen told me something about my death and at what time it would occur. Whether she's getting the numbers mixed up because she has no right to really do that. And they're biblical numbers. And I say, whatever.
What? Oh, yeah, whatever.
Because I can't wait to. I always say,
Yeah.
I remember when I went to the doctors, ladies and gentlemen, after 14 years, my daughter and I had gone for a mammography together. I will never, as a medical person, get a mammography without asking for an ultrasound. Remember that. So I got the mammography. They said, you're perfect. I went for my ultrasound. The little girl said, I'll be right back. You seem fine. She came back in with the doctor, and he said, you have 2 cysts on your left breast. They're lower than 4 centimeters. Just have them checked next year. You know what I said? No, I don't think I'll be back to have them checked after 14 years. You see, I have 2 angels waiting for me.
I'll tell you, this woman is psychic. Besides Valerie being... Besides Valerie being a psychic and a medium, what you didn't know, she's also a nurse. And this is for you. Open it up. Yes, you are. You're allowed to open it. It's only allowed to open that one. I get the rest over there. But
she is psychic because since Helen left me and Charles left me, I don't put a tree up anymore. And I don't, I just don't celebrate it. Thanksgiving, I went to a place where ghosts are.
Ron, do you have a knife? Or is there a knife around or something around the cut? Maybe I got it in here. Don't see it. We got to open it up.
Do you know how to open this, or do you have something over there? I want to thank Frank D'Angelo.
This is live, and it's a live show. So, and why anything can happen.
So wait a few minutes.
Anything can happen. So, and I want to thank Frank, if you're out there, Frank D'Angelo. If you want her out there, this is Valerie's manager and friend. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the pocketbook of the lighthouse. And there's a long story in back of that because Valerie is more psychic than. The lighthouse has a meaning, and not just with God. The lighthouse has a meaning, and the psychicness came out because I seen a lighthouse, and that lighthouse, she mails me a card by saying, I'm really sorry to hear about your loss, your best friend. And it was a lighthouse on the card, and I looked at my computer, and there was a lighthouse on the computer. I wanted my friend, she decorated my whole apartment, and I never really look. I mean, when people does things, I'm not, creative or decorative or all that kind of stuff. But I went in my bathroom, and I thought, look at the curtain. Look at the wallpaper. It's lighthouses all over the place. I had to call Valerie back up, and I said, how did you know? How did you know about the lighthouse? And then my whole house was surrounded by lighthouses. So it's not coincidences, people. It's not coincidences. But anyway, well, no, it even it. I'm telling you, get all these.
Oh my God, you won't believe this.
What?
I just sent that to Rayanne. Because she's really critical in pain now.
Well, this is a nurse. This is a baby
got it,
nurse.
Rayanne, I know you're watching us. Do you hear this? I have the duplicate, the twin.
I'm psychic, Valerie.
I have it from Helen. And every once in a while we go by and push it, and it would play. I'll be there, Pearl.
Thank you.
I love you.
Last week's show, I had a...
So beautiful. Oh. I just love you, little thing.
The singing nurse. Last week I had a country and western singer on the show.
Yes.
And I gave her on the air. It was a country. I had a country and western dog that actually sang to her.
A beautiful song.
Yeah, that sang to her right on the air with it. You're supposed to shut up after.
I'm afraid to touch it. You'll sing more. But do you believe that I just sent this to a box and she just got it?
Get out.
Yeah.
I'm not looking
and
at what
now
you're
I
saying,
have the
Ron.
twin, and Helen and I have the same thing thanks to you. Pearl,
Well, okay.
thank you so much.
Rod, do we have
Could you believe
any more
that?
minutes? We don't have any more minutes with it. Okay, we're running short. We will have Valerie back on. But wait a minute, before I end, if you want an appointment or talk to Valerie, how can they get a hold of you?
They can call the number 215-483-8881. 215-483-8881. Better yet, go on ValerieMorrison.com. And if you hit newsletter, you'll hear all about me. God bless you. I love you. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday, whatever one you celebrate.
Thank you for coming on to the show with it.
Always,
Next week,
Pearl.
we got a special. We really have a special holiday show next week. It's the holiday Christmas card show. We're going to be doing everything next week. And it's just the guest next week is me. It's me. You're gonna have me for a change. I want to thank everybody for joining in. If you lost your loved one, I hope tonight you feel better. And I hope, you say a prayer that they're safe, and they are. So now you know they are, and they're in heaven watching over you. So I'm hoping there's a smile on everybody's face out there. This is Pearl Polto, as always, making the most of your credit, giving credit where credit's due. Tonight, it's to your loved ones and all the people that lost everybody. See you next week.
Interest